In the bright city of Zoran, the sun shone hot and clear. The city was full of life and noise. People filled the streets, laughing, shouting, and moving quickly. But today, many had come to one place, the great arena. The arena was huge and round. It was the place where people watched fighters, called gladiators, battle each other. The air was thick with excitement. The crowd shouted and cheered for their favorite fighters. Many believed that the gladiators were the strongest and bravest in the whole world. They showed their skill with swords, shields, and their quick hands. Every fight was a story that the people talked about for days. Rin stood near the edge of the crowd. He was not a gladiator, but a simple man who lived quietly. His clothes were plain and his face was calm. He did not want to fight in the arena, but today he had come to see what would happen. Rin's eyes moved through the crowd until they stopped on a small figure. An old woman was pushed forward by two guards. Her clothes were worn and dirty, and her back was bent with age. Her white hair fell over her face. She looked tired, but strong inside. The old woman was accused of stealing food. The rulers of Zoran were harsh and wanted to make an example of her. They wanted to show that no one could break their rules. The guards laughed and pulled her roughly to the center of the arena. A tall man stepped forward. He was a gladiator named Goran. His muscles were big and his face was hard. Goran was known for being cruel and proud. He smiled as he looked down at the old woman. The crowd was quiet for a moment. Some people were curious, some were angry, and some were afraid. No one dared to say anything. The rules said that the gladiator could punish anyone the rulers did not like. Rin felt his heart beat fast. He did not want the old woman to be hurt. She had not done much wrong, and she looked scared. He felt a strong voice inside him say, "You must do something." Without thinking twice, Rin pushed through the crowd and stepped into the arena. The noise stopped. Everyone looked at him. Goran raised his eyebrows. "Who is this man?" he said in a loud voice. "You are not a fighter. Why do you come here?" Rin looked at Goran without fear. "I will not let you harm her," he said clearly. The crowd gasped. Many people whispered to each other. No one had ever stopped Goran before. Goran laughed. "Do you think you can stop me? You are just a weak man." Rin did not answer. He only moved closer to the old woman and stood beside her, the ruler of the arena. A man in a bright red robe stood up. "If this man wants to fight, he will fight," he said with a smile. "Let the challenge begin." Rin looked around. He saw the weapons on the ground, swords, shields, and spears. He picked up a simple wooden staff. It was not a real weapon, but it was better than nothing. Goran took a heavy sword and a large shield. He was confident and strong. He moved, like a lion ready to attack. The old woman watched quietly from the side. Her eyes were calm but full of hope. The crowd waited with bated breath. The sun shone on the fighters as they faced each other. Rin knew he was at a great risk. If he lost, he could be hurt badly. But he also knew that standing up for what is right was more important than fear. Goran made the first move. He swung his sword with great power. Rin stepped back quickly. He used his staff to block the sword. The sound of wood hitting metal echoed in the arena. The crowd shouted. Some wanted Goran to win. Others quietly hoped Rin could succeed. Rin moved carefully. He did not try to fight like Goran. He used his speed and his mind. He waited for Goran to make a mistake. After many moments, Goran lost his balance. Rin saw his chance. He pushed the sword away with his staff and stepped forward. With one quick move, Rin knocked the sword from Goran's hand. The heavy sword flew across the sand. The crowd was silent. No one believed what they saw. Goran looked surprised and angry. He took a step back. Rin did not attack. He only held his staff in front of him. The ruler of the arena spoke again. "This is a new champion," he said with a strange smile. Rin helped the old woman to her feet. She smiled and nodded at him. The crowd started to cheer. Some clapped loudly. Others whispered that maybe things could change in Zoran. Rin looked at the faces around him. He saw hope and fear, respect and surprise. He did not know what would happen next, but he felt a new strength inside. He had stood for justice. And in that moment, something inside the city began to change. The sun was high above the city of Zoran as Rin left the arena. His heart was still beating fast from the fight. People in the streets looked at him with surprise and curiosity. Some nodded quietly, others whispered, "That man is brave." Rin walked, slowly, thinking about what had just happened. He had never expected to fight in the arena, but when he saw the old woman in trouble, something inside him pushed him to act. At home, 12 women waited for Rin. They were not just any women. Each was strong and smart in her own way. They were Rin's wives. In their world, having many wives was normal, and each shared love and respect with the others. The wives had heard the crowd's news. They were proud of Rin, but also worried. The rulers of Zoran did not like anyone who stood against them. When Rin entered his home, the wives gathered around him. Lila, the eldest, smiled softly. "You were brave," she said, "but you must be careful now." Rin nodded. "I had to help. No one else would." Mira, who was quick and clever, asked, "Do you think the Gladiator will come back for revenge?" Rin thought for a moment. Maybe. Goran was angry. The rulers want to keep their power. They will not forget this. The wives looked at each other. They knew the danger, but they also knew they had Rin's strength to face it. That night, the city of Zoran felt different. The streets were busy as usual, but people talked quietly about the fight. Some began to hope that change was possible. In a small corner of the city, a group of young fighters trained in secret. They had heard about Rin's courage. They believed he could help them fight for a better future. Back at home, Rin sat with his wives. They spoke quietly about what to do next. They wanted to protect the old woman and others like her. Lila said, "We need to be ready. If Goran returns, we must stand together." Rin agreed. "I will train more. I want to be ready for anything." Mira smiled. "And we will help you. Each of us can teach you something new." For many days, Rin and his wives trained together. Lila taught him how to think calmly in danger. Mira showed him how to move quickly and quietly. Another wife, Nira, skilled in medicine, helped Rin heal his small wounds from the fight. The wives also worked with the people in their neighborhood. They helped those in need and spread stories of hope. Slowly, more people began to believe that standing up was possible. One evening, as the sun set, a messenger arrived at Rin's home. He was nervous and looked around quickly before speaking. "The rulers want to see you," the messenger said. "They say you must answer for your actions in the arena." Rin looked at his wives. They nodded for him to be strong. The next day, Rin went to the ruler's palace. It was a tall building with shining walls. Guards watched him carefully as he entered. Inside, the ruler of Zoran sat on a high chair. His eyes were cold, but curious. "You surprised us all, Rin," the ruler said. "You broke the rules and challenged our champion." Rin stood tall. "I did what was right. The old woman did not deserve to be hurt." The ruler smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "You may have won the fight, but you have started a problem. The city needs order. Chaos will not help anyone." Rin looked the ruler in the eye. "Order is good only when it is fair. When people live in fear, it is not order. It is control." The ruler's face changed for a moment. He did not like Rin's words. "You will have another chance," the ruler said. a test of strength and loyalty. If you fail, you will lose everything. Rin left the palace with a heavy heart. He knew the challenge ahead would be hard, but he also knew he was not alone. When he returned home, his wives greeted him with hope and support. "We will stand with you," Lila said. "Together, we are stronger than any ruler or gladiator." Rin smiled. For the first time, he felt a true sense of power, not from his strength alone, but from the love and trust of those around him. In the days that followed, Rin continued to train and prepare. He spoke with the people quietly, learning about their struggles and dreams. The city of Zorin was changing. A new story was being written, one of courage, kindness, and unity. And at the center of this story was Rin, the man who had dared to defend an old woman. The days after the fight were full of quiet but powerful change. Rin's simple home, usually calm and steady, now buzzed with new energy. His 12 wives watched him closely. They had always cared for him, but now they saw something different. Rin had always been humble and kind. He did not seek praise or power. But his actions in the arena made many people notice him. People talked about the man who stood for the old woman. They said he was brave and fair. Inside their home, the wives gathered one evening. The soft light from the lamps made their faces glow. Lila, the oldest and wisest, spoke first. "You showed great courage, Rin," she said softly. "But courage is only one part. Now others look to you for strength and guidance." Rin looked around, at the women he loved. Each had a special gift. Some were strong in mind, others strong in heart. Together they made a powerful team. Mira smiled warmly. "Your bravery made us proud, but it also made us think. If you lead, we will follow you. We believe in you." Rin felt a deep warmth inside. He had never thought about being a leader. He just wanted to do what was right. Nira, the healer, nodded. "Your fight was more than a battle. It was a message. People see that kindness and courage can change things." The wives looked at Rin with new respect. They began to call him Master, not because of fear or rules, but because of their trust and love. It was a name that carried honor and care. Rin accepted the name quietly. He knew it was a big responsibility. He wanted to protect everyone, his wives, the old woman, and the people of Zorin. In the streets of Zorin, the change was also visible. People started to gather in small groups, sharing stories of hope. The young fighters who trained secretly talked about Rin as a symbol of courage. One afternoon, as Rin walked through the busy market, a young boy ran to him. The boy's eyes shone with excitement. "You are the man who stopped the Gladiator," the boy said. "I want to be like you someday." Rin smiled gently and put a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Be brave and always stand for what is right," he said. The boy nodded, feeling proud. Back at home, Rin's wives helped him prepare for the challenges ahead. They knew Goron, the defeated gladiator, was angry and would try to come back. But they also knew they were strong together. One evening, Lila suggested a new plan. "We must teach the people how to protect themselves," she said. "Not just with weapons, but with courage and wisdom." Rin agreed. If more people stand together, no one can easily control them. The wives began to teach the neighborhood. They showed others how to stay calm in danger, how to speak kindly but firmly, and how to protect the weak. The city started to change slowly but surely. The power of fear that had ruled for so long began to fade, but not everyone was happy. The rulers of Zorin watched Rin with growing worry. They saw that their control was slipping. One day, a message arrived at Rin's home. It was from the ruler's palace. The message said that Rin must appear again in the arena. This time, it would not be a fight with swords, but a test of loyalty and strength. Rin called his wives together. They spoke late into the night. "This test could be dangerous," Mira said, "but it is also a chance to show that we are united." Rin nodded. "We will face this together. No matter what happens, we will not be afraid." The next day, Rin went to the arena. The city was full of whispers. Many came to watch. The ruler stood in the center, his face cold. "Rin," he said, "you have surprised us all, but now you must prove your loyalty to Zoran." Rin looked him in the eye. "I am loyal to the people, not just the rulers." The ruler frowned. "We will see. Your test begins now." Rin was led to a small platform in the arena. Around him were other fighters and soldiers. But this test was not about fighting alone. The ruler explained, "You must lead these men in a challenge of skill and teamwork. Only those who work together can win." Rin's heart raced. This was different from before. It was not about beating one enemy, but about leading many. He looked at the men around him. Some were strong, some weak, some unsure. Rin took a deep breath. "We must trust each other," he said. "We win together or lose together." The challenge began. It was a series of tasks that tested their speed, strength, and mind. At first, the men did not listen to Rin. They worked alone and made mistakes. But Rin did not give up. He encouraged them, helped them, and showed how to work as a team. Slowly, the group improved. They learned to listen, to share ideas, and to support each other. The crowd watched with growing excitement. They saw a new kind of strength, one that came from unity and respect. When the challenge ended, Rin's team stood together, tired but proud. The ruler looked surprised but said nothing. Back at home, Rin's wives welcomed him with smiles and hugs. "You did well," Lila said. "You showed them that strength is more than fighting alone." Rin smiled. "I could not do it without you all." The 12 wives looked at each other with happiness. They knew their family was strong. In the days that followed, more people began to follow Rin's example. They learned that courage was not just in battle, but in standing for what is right, in helping others, and in working together. Rin's simple act of defending the old woman had grown into a movement, and in the heart of Zoran, hope was growing stronger. The city of Zoran was changing. The air felt lighter, and people walked with new hope. Rin's courage had spread like fire. Many began to believe in a better future, but in the shadows, danger was growing. Goran, the gladiator Rin had defeated, was burning with anger. His pride was hurt deeply. He had never lost before. Goran spent his days in quiet planning. He met with the rulers who did not like Rin's rising power. The rulers wanted to keep control over the city and its people. "They call him master now," Goran said with bitterness. "He is nothing but a simple man. We must stop him before he changes everything." The rulers nodded. They feared the people's growing hope. They wanted to show that the old rules were still strong. Goran prepared for a new challenge. This time, it would not be a simple fight in the arena. It would be a public battle, watched by the whole city. News spread quickly. The rulers announced a grand event. Goran would face Rin again. The winner would prove who was truly the strongest. Rin heard the news at home. His 12 wives gathered around him. "This is a dangerous time," Lila said softly. "Goran will not fight fairly." Mira nodded. "We must prepare, but we must also stay wise." Rin looked at the faces he loved. They were calm, but ready. "We will face this together," Rin said. "Not just with strength, but with our hearts." Days passed as Rin and his wives trained harder than before. They worked on their skills, their minds, and their teamwork. Nira helped Rin heal his small injuries quickly so he could train every day. Sarah, who was strong and fast, showed Rin new moves to use in the fight. Together, the wives created plans to protect their home and the people who believed in Rin. Meanwhile, the city buzzed with excitement and fear. The arena was decorated with bright colors. People from all corners of Zorin came to watch the great battle. The day of the fight arrived. The sun was warm and the arena was full. Rin entered the arena, calm but focused. He saw Goran waiting for him. Goran's face was cold and hard. The crowd shouted loudly. Some cheered for Goran, others for Rin. The ruler of Zorin stood high above, watching closely. He smiled, pleased to see the tension. The fight began. Goran attacked quickly with his sword. Rin used his staff to block and move away. The battle was different from before. Goran was faster and stronger. He had trained hard for this day. But Rin was smart. He did not try to match Goran's strength. Instead, he used his speed and his mind. He dodged and moved carefully, waiting for the right moment. The crowd watched, breathless. Some shouted advice, others prayed silently. Suddenly, Goran made a mistake. He swung too wide, and Rin pushed his staff against Goran's sword, forcing it away. Rin moved quickly and took the sword gently from the sand. He did not attack Goran. "I do not want to hurt you," Rin said. "This fight is not about winning, alone. It is about standing for what is right." The crowd was silent. Even Goran stopped and looked surprised. Rin stepped back and raised his staff in a peaceful gesture. Goran lowered his sword slowly. He looked around at the people, then at Rin. The ruler frowned but said nothing. Rin helped Goran to stand straight. "We can be stronger together," he said. For a moment, the crowd felt a new kind of power, one that came from respect and peace. When the fight ended, Rin left the arena with his 12 wives. The city felt different. People whispered that maybe the old ways were changing. Rin knew the road ahead would not be easy. The rulers still held power, and not everyone wanted change. But he also knew that with courage, kindness, and the strength of his family, he could face any challenge. And so, the story of Rin, the man who defended the old woman, grew brighter in the heart of Zorin. After the great fight with Goran, the city of Zorin was filled with a new energy. The people talked quietly but often about what had happened in the arena. They spoke of courage, kindness, and hope. Rin's name was on many lips, but he did not want to be a hero for only one day. He wanted to bring real change to the city where people lived without fear and with respect for each other. At home, Rin's 12 wives worked with him to plan for the future. Each had ideas and talents that helped. Lila, with her wisdom, said, "Change must start in the hearts of the people. We must teach them to care for each other." Mira, quick and clever, added, "We need to spread our message beyond our neighborhood. The whole city should hear it." Nira, the healer, agreed. "And we must care for those who are hurt or hungry. When people feel safe and strong, they can build a better world." Rin listened carefully. He knew they were right. Change was not just about fighting. It was about kindness and trust. The wives and Rin began to visit the poorer parts of the city. They brought food, medicine, and hope. They taught the people simple ways to stay safe and healthy. Slowly, the people started to come together. They formed small groups to help each other. They shared what little they had and made plans for a better future. Rin's home became a place of peace and learning. The 12 wives taught children and adults how to read, write, and think for themselves. One day, a young man came to Rin. He was a farmer from the outside of the city. "I want to help," the young man said. "I want to bring my friends and family to learn and grow." Rin smiled. Everyone who wants to help is welcome. Word spread fast. More people came to join Rin and his wives. They saw that standing together was stronger than standing alone. But not everyone was happy. The rulers of Zorin watched carefully. They saw their power slowly slipping. One evening, a group of guards came to Rin's home. They said the rulers wanted to talk to him again. Rin and his wives were ready. They knew this could be a test or a trap. At the palace, the ruler spoke with a cold voice. "You have gathered many people, Rin. This is dangerous." Rin looked calmly at the ruler. "I only want peace and fairness for everyone," the ruler sneered. "Peace and fairness? You are a threat to order. We will not let you change things." "So easily," Rin replied. "True order comes from respect, not fear." The ruler's face darkened. "You will be watched closely." Rin and his wives left the palace quietly. Back home, they knew the fight for change would be long. But they were not afraid. Together, they planted the seeds of a new future in the hearts of the people, and the city of Zoran began to bloom with hope. The city of Zoran was no longer the same. The people who once lived in fear now walked with a quiet confidence. The seeds of change that Rin and his 12 wives had planted were growing stronger every day. But change was not easy. The rulers still controlled the city's power. Their guards watched the streets and the people who gathered in groups. Sometimes they tried to stop the meetings or take away supplies meant to help the poor. Rin knew this would happen. He had prepared for challenges like these. The 12 wives stood with him, ready to face whatever came next. One morning, as the sun rose, Rin stood on the steps of his home. Around him were people of all ages. Some were farmers, others were workers, and many were children eager to learn. Rin raised his voice so everyone could hear. "We are stronger together. The rulers want us to be afraid, to fight each other, and to stay quiet. But we will not. We will stand for kindness, fairness, and hope." The crowd cheered softly. They had heard these words before, but now they believed them more deeply. His wives joined him on the steps. Lila spoke next. "Change does not come quickly. It comes slowly like the morning light. We must be patient and strong." Mira added, "We will teach our children to be brave and kind. We will care for each other every day." Nira gave water and food to those who needed it. "When we help one another, we build a family," she said gently. The people began to organize themselves. They cleaned the streets, repaired broken homes, and shared food with those who had little. One day, a young woman named Tira came to Rin's home. She had heard about the change from a friend. "I want to help," she said. "I want to learn and teach others." Rin smiled and welcomed her. "The more hands that work together, the brighter our city will become." As the weeks passed, Rin and his wives trained new leaders. They taught them how to solve problems without violence, how to speak with kindness, and how to listen carefully. The rulers saw this growing strength and grew worried. They sent more guards to watch the city. One evening, as Rin walked through the neighborhood, a group of guards stopped him. Their leader spoke harshly. "You must stop these gatherings. The ruler commands it." Rin looked calmly at the guard. "We only want peace and fairness." "Why would that be a problem?" The guard lowered his eyes. "It is not your choice." Rin nodded. "I understand, but we will not stop caring for each other." The guard stepped back, unsure what to do. That night, Rin told his wives what had happened. "We must be careful," Lila said, "but we cannot give up." Mira suggested, "We can hold meetings in secret places where the guards cannot find us." Nira agreed, "And we can help those who need it most, quietly." Rin felt proud of his wives. Their courage and wisdom were his greatest strength. The people of Zoran grew quieter, but more determined. They met in small groups, sharing ideas and plans. Slowly, the city began to change in small ways. The markets became fairer, with honest prices. The streets were cleaner. People helped each other more. The ruler's power was still strong, but it was no longer the only force in the city. One day, Rin received a message from the ruler. It was a challenge. "Come to the arena once more," the message said. "Prove your loyalty or face the consequences." Rin showed the message to his wives. They looked worried but ready. "We will face this challenge as one," Rin said. On the day of the challenge, the arena was full of people. Some were curious, others angry. The ruler stood high above, watching carefully. Rin stepped into the arena, calm and strong. His 12 wives stood at the edge, watching with hope. The ruler spoke. "Today you will show if you are loyal to Zoran, or if you are a rebel." Rin looked at the crowd and said, "I am loyal to the people of Zoran. I want a city where everyone is free and safe." The crowd was silent for a moment. Then, slowly, they began to cheer. The ruler frowned but said nothing. Rin knew this was just the beginning. The fight for a better Zoran would continue. But with courage, kindness, and the strength of many, he believed the light of change would rise higher and higher. The sun rose over Zoran with a soft golden light. The city was waking slowly, but something was different. A quiet hope filled the air. The people felt it deep in their hearts. Rin stood on the steps of his home, surrounded by his 12 wives. Together, they looked out over the city they loved. The journey had been long and hard, but now they could see the first signs of a new beginning. The ruler's power was still strong, but it was no longer absolute. The people had learned that strength was not only in swords and guards, but in courage, kindness, and unity. Days before, the ruler had sent a message to Rin. It was a final warning to stop the gatherings and the new ways spreading through the city. Rin had replied with calm words, "I will never stop standing for the people." The ruler had sent soldiers to the streets, but instead of fear, the people met them with quiet determination. They helped each other, cared for the weak, and stood strong together. One morning, the ruler called for a meeting with Rin at the palace. The ruler was older now, his face tired from years of ruling with fear. Rin arrived with his wives beside him. The palace was grand, but inside, the ruler's voice was soft and uncertain. "You have changed much of this city," the ruler said. "I do not like it, but I cannot stop it." Rin bowed respectfully. "Change is part of life. The people want peace and fairness. I believe we can build this together." The ruler looked at Rin's wives and saw the strength in their eyes. He saw the respect the people had for them and for Rin. "Perhaps it is time for a new way," the ruler said slowly. "One where the people have a voice." Rin smiled quietly. "Together, we can make Zoran strong for all." From that day, the city began to change faster. The ruler stepped back from strict control. A council was formed, with Rin and others chosen by the people to help lead. The 12 wives became teachers and leaders in the community. They helped heal old wounds and build new friendships. Markets grew fairer. Streets became safer. Schools opened for children of all backgrounds. Rin continued to walk among the people. He helped solve problems, listened to their worries, and shared in their joys. One evening, as the city celebrated a festival of light, Rin stood with his wives watching the lanterns rise into the sky. Lila spoke softly. "We planted seeds that have grown strong." Mira smiled. "The people's hearts have opened," Nira added, "and kindness now guides our city." Rin looked at the faces of those he loved. This is only the beginning. The real work is to keep hope alive every day. The people of Zoran knew they had found something precious. A city where bravery was not just in battle, but in standing for what is right. A city where every voice mattered, and as the lanterns floated high, lighting the night, the people knew that together they could face any challenge. Rin, the man who had defended an old woman, was no longer just a hero. He was a leader who had helped bring a new dawn to his home. The dawn of a new era for Zoran.